Okay, so chapter 3 of Shaun Tan's book, The Arrival. This chapter actually kind of spoke to me a little bit more than the other chapters in the book. Um, Basically, as far as so far the characters progressed, he has gotten himself an apartment, a place to sleep, and a little companion in this little lizard dog like thing. And clearly, as we start with the top panel, he's clearly dreaming. As he starts to wake up, he sees that his little creature is trying to wake him up and let him know something is happening outside. So, as we can see, as the panels kind of progress, he's waking up and noticing that the creature, his little creature, I guess we'll call him Tim, is leading him outside to show him what's going on outside. This next page is pretty well self-explanatory. It's just him kind of getting ready to go for the day and finding out what supplies he's going to need, counting his money, grabbing his stuff, and kind of getting a good layout as far as how and where he's going to get all this stuff. Again, his little creature Tim is with him and kind of helping him guide him along the way and kind of be a little bit of a companion for him as he's kind of making his way around the city. The next page over here, we see that he's kind of reading his map, trying to make heads and tails, and we get to see the big picture as far as what's happening with the city that he's gotten himself into and where he's landed. It's kind of interesting to see all kind of teepee structures and some of the people over here, and we get to see some of the ships flying around. Kind of just getting this big kind of conglomerate city feel of how everything is. I do notice the tones do change from black and white to a more sepia kind of a tone, which kind of gives a little bit of a background here and then kind of a more present time on that other page. Again, as we kind of get into this page over here, we do see more of that sepia tone, which kind of goes to tell me that this is all happening right now as we get to experience it as the reader. We do come across another character who clearly has kind of gotten a job for herself, and clearly Tim and her little creature have kind of befriended each other, and he's trying to figure out where he needs to go, essentially what taxi he needs to be on to get to the part of town to where he needs to go. As we kind of look over on this side of the page, it's kind of fun to see, again, a very similar picture, the very similar transportation type depot to the very first chapter when our traveler decides to embark on this new mission to go check out this new land of opportunity. We still get to see a very similar thing with the transport up here and then the people down here just kind of hanging out and waiting, waving to loved ones and so on and so forth. As we see Tim and his travel companion, the gentleman, we see him obviously getting their ticket stamped and waiting for the right transportation to get off to where they need to get to. Now, looking over here on this page, we do see his little person that he came across kind of going through her story and telling where she came from and how she got there. Again, we do see the tone changing from the sepia to more black and white, showing her a younger version of her, obviously going through some turmoil in her own life, having some hardships as we see up here in these top three panes. She was pretty much forced to work, obviously wasn't too happy about that. So as we go to the next page, we get to see the big frame as far as what her job actually was. Looks to be some kind of like a chimney sweep or some kind of a duct cleaner for all these other people down here who are working in the trenches, and clearly she's not very happy with her situation as she's trying to basically find a way out for herself. She's able to find the keys, break into the office where they're stored, and basically gather her belongings, and off she goes, escaping this turmoil of life. So again, the tone changes. We're back into the present time to where we see the transport pulling into the station, and down here in the corner we see our traveler, and Tim, his little companion, thanking the person for their story and giving him a little bit more insight as to what's going on. This next page over here, excuse me, we do get to see kind of his perspective and what he's seeing as far as this new part of this new land that he's traveled to kind of see, experience as much as he possibly can, trying to find supplies and a new life for his family from what it looks like. We start off with Tim and his travel companion doing their thing and trying to make their heads and tails and where they are supposed to be with finding supplies. They obviously go through a market, see a vending machine, and some different sights and sounds. Now, obviously, there is a list that he's trying to stick to, but clearly, again, a language barrier as far as what's what. His little pet Tim is trying to show him, this is the good stuff, this is a good treat, open this thing up. But it looks like he does come across a little boy who's trying to help, maybe selling some stuff, and he's trying to say, no, I don't want it, I don't need it, I need bread, I need the essentials. With the language barrier, he's having to rely on symbols and different things in that area. Clearly the helpful gentleman, the market owner, the shop owner, is showing him some other good stuff, and the boy is very reluctantly saying, yeah, let me help carry some stuff for you. So as we kind of progress through, the shop owner is showing him some more good stuff. His son is showing him, this is kind of cool. Taste this, do some of this. This is how you can package this. Try this one. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. And obviously the boy likes his little pet Tim, as he's giving him a little treat. And obviously they stocked him up pretty well with some of the goodies. Now this is what finds a little bit more interesting to me, is that the boy is actually talking to his dad, saying, hey, let's take him to our house. Let's invite him into our house. We just live over there. And as you can see from this big panel right here, they're all kind of gathering, and he's going to try and catch a ride and kind of learn a little bit more about this new land that he's in. So as we see on this page, we see Tim and the boy kind of having their fun going over to the boat, and the boy is very inviting, wants to show him this kind of cool thing, but we find out that, hey, this looks pretty familiar to the tale that he saw as far as the danger that was looming in the land that he ended up leaving in the first place. Obviously, the man's a little bit frightened, and we see that the shop owner, the market owner, is trying to console him and say, no, it's fine, it's just this little creature, he's just a little guy, he's not harmful in any way, shape, or form, and clearly looks like a dog and a cat standoff over here. So as we kind of progress through these panes on this side, we do see that the traveler is kind of drawing and showing the man, explaining to him the danger that he is trying to escape in his home. And the man's trying to console him and say, hey, we've got our own dangers here. Then we see almost a look of terror as he's trying to console him as we get into this panel, and something's obviously coming closer to him. Two-page spread. We see a big impending doom happening. Obviously, we've got some fire over here. We've got these big dudes with vacuums, and clearly they're searching for people and trying to find these subjects that are maybe they may not be producing very well. Maybe they're having an issue overall. But kind of what I'm getting from this page is that it's more of a clearing, more of a purge type situation where maybe they're trying to get more people in and kind of getting rid of some of the old people. This is a very open to interpretation type of pages here, with the impending doom that's overseeing this new land that our traveler has gone to. Again, we see the sepia tone, the black and white tone. I'm not sure if this really shows more of a black and white kind of futuristic, or not futuristic, but more of a real versus past type of situation. I think the tone on this one more changes to kind of show it goes from happy-go-loving to kind of a trying to escape the fear and getting out of the way. Obviously the the traveler and his new friend are escaping their lives. Maybe we do see a little bit more of this kind of historical type of a black and white thing happening, as most of the book has been pretty well set up in that fashion. But again, we do see them escaping down a manhole cover to get away from whatever the doom happens to be, and they kind of come back out, and streets are empty, buildings are knocked over, and so on. So we're kind of making our way through some of this kind of post-societal scenes, and we see another gentleman down here holding a lamp, showing some light to these folks, and it does look like it happens to be a flashback to even the shopkeeper's backstory and where he came and how he got here, because again we do see this ominous figure even in this panel with the boots, and right here as they're escaping whatever this happens to be. So this is kind of a fun little thing too, because again it does, kind of retracting my previous statement, this is not a black and white time period thing. Now that we kind of get back on this page, and we do see it is a man and a woman, so it clearly is the shop owner and it looks like to be his wife, as they kind of find their way and hit the boat, and they go off to the new land, again transporting us back into the sepia tones, which is the present time for our traveler, the shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper's son. Now, as the book kind of starts docking, we're seeing a little bit more of where the shopkeeper spends his time, and we kind of get in here, and shopkeeper's clearly welcoming into his home, saying, "Come on in. This is my family. This is my happiness, and Tim can come too." As we kind of see this, we get to see a lot of the jovialness, a lot more of the lightheartedness that we don't really see a whole lot in this book. A little bit more emotion being poured out as the man and the wife are obviously welcoming our traveler into their home, sharing drinks and food and all sorts of other goodies that are pretty native to the area. Kind of enjoy this scene down here where, again, the boy is kind of feeding Tim and his little pet, as our traveler and the man and wife are kind of all conversing and sharing their stories and obviously having a nice laugh. This is one of the reasons this chapter kind of spoke out to me, as far as there was a lot more emotion in this chapter than any of the other chapters in this book. We get to see a lot more personality out of the man as he folds some origami for the boy and kind of folds it in the shape of the boy's pet, and obviously as a token of their appreciation, just saying, "Hey, thanks for coming. You know, we want to give you this." And they're obviously giving him a gift of a handmade item of sorts, which is the end of the chapter. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, feel free to message me, and I guess we can chit-chat about your thoughts on that chapter as well.